So our friend Kerry would like to know today, writing me from Scotland, and he has an online store. And he says, "Hi Scott, I received a CD from Chris Cardell, where I was one of the folks discussing internet marketing." Right, I was interviewed on a show recently, and Kerry got a hold of that. He says, "I'm new in e-business, and I found your points very helpful. I'm in the process of setting up a transactional website for my fashion clothing store based in Greenock, Scotland. What are the top tips you'd advise for someone who's new to setting up a compelling website in order to generate sales from all over the UK? Thanks for your help, Kerry Skilling." Okay, Kerry, well, nice to meet you. I'm glad that Chris introduced us, and welcome to the Click Millionaire Show. Here's some thoughts. E-commerce is a wide area, right? So I could go on for days. In fact, I wrote a couple big books about this. As you probably know, this book here is all about starting online businesses. so I'm not going to go on for hours, but you asked for a couple tips. So let me give 3 or 4 tips that I think could get you on the right road if you're new to e-business. First of all, I'm going to assume that you have good products that you're selling at a reasonable price. That's the entry level point for any store, online or off. So skipping over that, we're not going to talk about product sourcing or pricing strategy, although of course we could if you want to come back and ask follow-up questions via AskScottFox.com or by joining ClickMillionaires.com. So for a store, I think there's a couple things that I would focus on. One would be photographs. And this sounds obvious, but people that are from a traditional merchandising background in the real world, they forget how visual and tactile the shopping experience is. You walk into a store, you can see the clothes. They're laid out. You can touch them. You can smell them. You can feel them. You can try them on. Online, they're not. And a lot of times, people who run a real store, they forget that they need really good photos. And I'm sorry if this seems obvious, but you'd be surprised at the number of products. And this doesn't just apply to clothing, but to any sort of product. People put up these little tiny photos because they're so familiar with what the product looks like, they think the customer is too. And they're not. The customer is shopping because they're exploring. They may be new and probably are brand new to your website. And if you don't capture them, they're going to leave and you'll never see them again. So, first of all, photographs. Big, compelling photographs. Probably from multiple angles. Probably with pop-ups so that you can get real detailed. Photographs, key, visual interests. Humans could see and react to visual stimuli long before we learned to read. So I would emphasize the visuals. Personality, I would really try to differentiate your store. You can use a template from Yahoo Stores or Magento or Shopify or any sort of store provider, that's fine. But make sure your graphics are interesting. Make sure it reflects some sort of personality so that you don't just look like another cookie cutter store. You don't look like an eBay shop, and that they remember you. That's the idea here. Because again, the internet's so big, they might forget who you were, why they were there, and if your site doesn't jump out and grab somebody again visually, they're going to move on and forget you. Similarly, I'd put some personality into it. Same idea. And by personality, I mean faces. We're genetically wired to react to people's faces, right? You're looking me right in the eye, right? It helps to see faces. I would put your face, Kerry, or your staff, or some stock photos at least of models. Put some people on that page. Ideally, modeling the clothes that you're selling. And tell some story. You're from Greenock, Scotland. I went to the trouble of reading this email because I think that's interesting. This is the internet. You're from Scotland, I'm in Los Angeles. You're probably in bed already because it's morning here in Los Angeles, but we can communicate, and your store can similarly attract people from all over the world. So one of my biggest points for you, Kerry, would be not to just think about the UK. Because in your note you said, advice on setting up a compelling website in order to generate sales from all over the UK. Now the way you phrased that sounds like you think that's a big deal. All over the UK. That probably sounds big if you're from a traditional retailing environment where you just sold around Scotland. But the fact is the internet reaches the planet, Kerry. So if you really want to do this, why not go global? Now it gets confusing because you have different currencies and tax rates and shipping, so maybe you've thought that through. But just let me point that out. Especially for folks who are selling information products that are downloadable, I would look much further afield than just the UK. The other thing is email collection. A lot of folks skip over this. They get so focused on the home page that they want to design it and do all the other things I talked about, which are important: personality and pictures, graphics, attractive shopping experience that makes sense on a click-by-click basis so that the customer doesn't get lost and they can easily find what they want. But you need to collect emails. Because your biggest expense is acquiring new customers. And if they come and visit once and then leave, you've essentially wasted that investment. You need to create an offer that gets them to sign up for your email list and capture that email and make sure that you can keep communicating with them and reminding them that your online boutique was the place that they found that great deal on the blazer or the skirt or the shoes, whatever it was. Email collection, top priority and often overlooked by new webmasters. And then lastly, I would put in some SEO keywords, search engine optimization. Work on your SEO keywords. Make sure the titles of your pages don't just say something like welcome, that they talk about what your products are, that the keywords are similarly reflected on the pages, both in the visible text and in the hidden meta tags, and they're repeated. And ideally, each different product page is optimized a little bit differently to reflect the products that show there. And this is important not just to attract the free search engine traffic that you expect back to your homepage, but actually most websites don't get all of their traffic to the homepage. In fact, almost none of them do. On my own website, it's something like 40% of my traffic never even sees my homepage. They come in from all different angles, and that's probably going to be true of your site as well. So you want to think of every page as being compelling and having a menu and navigation that allows them to easily browse around the site and find other areas of the website and other products to browse. And the email collection should probably be on all those pages too. So I hope that's helpful to you, Carrie. Thanks for checking in. Say hi to my friend Chris Cardell. And I hope that that's helpful to you in this clip from the Click Millionaires show, because that's why we're here. I do this live every Tuesday at clickmillionaires.tv, and I'm Scott Fox, and I hope those tips help you make a lot more money online, because that's what I do.